Well, Bruce Willis dropped in the other day. Now, Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis. Oh no, you are so cool. You know, you were really cool. Bruce Willis moved into a care home on August 15, 2025. His family spent $200,000 a year just to keep him safe. The man who once shouted over explosions in Die Hard can no longer speak. But that's not the worst part. Emma revealed something she kept hidden for years. She thought Bruce was just being distant. She had no idea his brain was slowly dying. The disease had been stealing him away long before anyone knew. What his family discovered will break your heart. Bruce Willis was born on March 19, 1955 in a small town in West Germany called Idar Oberstein. His father was an American soldier stationed there after the war, and his mother was a German woman from Kassel. From the very start, Bruce's world was split between two cultures. He lived on a military base surrounded by the ghosts of a recent war, caught between American discipline and German traditions. But when he was just 2 years old, everything changed. In 1957, his father left the army and the whole family moved across the ocean to New Jersey. Suddenly, Bruce was no longer the boy from Germany. He was just another kid in a rough American neighborhood, surrounded by factory workers and struggling families. His father worked with metal and his mother took small jobs at banks. They didn't have much, and Bruce felt like he didn't fit in anywhere. As the 1960s rolled in, something started to trouble him deeply. Around age 6, Bruce developed a painful stutter. Words got stuck in his throat. He'd tried to speak and nothing would come out right. Kids laughed at him and gave him a cruel nickname, Buck. He tried to fight back with his fists, swinging wildly just to defend himself. But the shame of not being able to speak clearly haunted him. Sometimes it took him minutes just to get a sentence out. It crushed his confidence. By the time he was 10, school had already become a battlefield. The stutter didn't just hurt, it isolated him. High school could have been the breaking point. He skipped classes just to avoid being called on. He pulled pranks to distract people from his speech. But one day in the early 1970s, around age 15, he took a chance and joined the drama club, and something unbelievable happened. The moment he stepped on stage and read lines, the stutter disappeared. It was like magic. He could speak fluently, clearly, without fear. For the first time, people listened. Teachers were stunned. Bruce realized that when he became someone else, the words came freely. Acting gave him back his voice. That discovery changed everything. By 1973, he had become the student council president. Even though some kids still mocked him, he didn't care. He had found something that made him feel alive. And in 1975, while studying theater at Montclair State University, 2 professors gave him speech therapy that helped even more. But by 1977, Bruce was tired of school. He dropped out and moved straight to New York City, determined to chase something bigger. With no money and no contacts, he worked long hours as a bartender just to survive. Sometimes he had to crash on couches or sleep in tiny apartments. But he made people laugh. He skated to work. He played the harmonica for tips. He turned the bar into a stage. Those years were messy and hard. He faced over 100 rejections in his first year. But little by little, he started landing roles in off-Broadway shows. His first real part came in 1977 in a play called Heaven and Earth. Even though the money was low and the rejection constant, he kept going. Sometimes he had to sleep on benches when things got bad. But people started to notice him. He got small roles in commercials, bit parts in movies, and eventually in 1980, a brief scene with Frank Sinatra. But one night, while bartending, he got into a fight trying to protect someone. His nose was broken badly. He needed emergency surgery. Doctors warned that the injury might hurt his voice, but he recovered. He came back tougher. The scar stayed, and it gave him a certain edge. Back then, nobody knew he'd become one of the biggest action stars in the world. But in those small, struggling bars of New York, he built something stronger than fame. He built friendships that would last decades. He met John Goodman behind the counter at Chelsea Central, and together they performed wild improvised plays that left small crowds stunned. They were broke, earning just a few dollars a week, but the passion was real. They worked without scripts. They shouted and cried and threw themselves into every moment. These raw performances sharpened Bruce's timing and gave him the energy that would one day electrify movie screens. Then, 1985, everything changed. Bruce walked into an audition for a new TV show called Moonlighting. About 3,000 actors wanted the role, including radio stars and trained performers. ABC rejected Bruce 11 times, but he came back one last time with a shaved head, earrings, and an attitude that couldn't be ignored. He ad-libbed his lines and made the producers laugh. Suddenly, the outsider with the stutter was the one they wanted. Moonlighting aired on March 3, 1985, and Bruce Willis became a star overnight. The show was chaotic and expensive. It took twice as long to film as most shows. Episodes ran 120 pages long, but Bruce's charm, speed, and unpredictability made it a sensation. He clashed often with his co-star Sybil Shepherd. By 1986, tensions on set were boiling. They argued, snapped at each other before scenes, and sometimes refused to speak off camera. The pressure got so bad that Bruce collapsed from exhaustion in 1988 and had to be hospitalized. Scripts were delayed, ratings dipped, but the fire between them kept fans hooked. Behind the scenes, Bruce was burning out, but in front of the camera, he was magnetic. While all this was happening, Bruce shocked everyone by releasing a music album called The Return of Bruno in January 1987. Nobody expected a TV star to top charts, but he did. The album went gold with 500,000 sales. It even hit number 2 in the UK. Critics rolled their eyes, but fans didn't care. Bruce sang with soul legends and turned it into something unforgettable. It was strange, bold, and fun, just like him, but the grind was taking its toll. Filming moonlighting episodes that cost over $1 million each, Bruce was pushed to the edge. His co-star's pregnancy in 1987 caused more delays, and a major writer's strike in 1988 nearly shut the show down for good. On May 14, 1989, the show finally ended. Bruce had given it everything. By then, his name was already echoing in Hollywood. His TV salary had skyrocketed to $50,000 per episode, a giant leap from the $1,500 gigs he had started with. At the time, Bruce Willis wasn't supposed to be the star. He was mostly known as the charming guy from Moonlighting, and no one expected him to land the lead role in a big action film. But in a strange twist, a script called Die Hard was making its way through Hollywood in the late 1980s. Big names like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone had already turned it down. Even Frank Sinatra was asked, since the story was technically a sequel to something he starred in decades earlier. He passed, too. And then, out of nowhere, Bruce Willis got the offer. What shocked everyone wasn't just that he was chosen, but that the studio was willing to pay him $5 million. That was the kind of money reserved for superstars like Dustin Hoffman or Robert Redford. People in the industry thought the studio had lost their minds. Filming began in late 1987, and most of it was shot inside Fox Plaza in Los Angeles. By the time the movie was released on July 15, 1988, no one had any idea it would explode the way it did. It made over $140 million worldwide and turned Bruce Willis into a full-blown action hero. But there was a price. During one of the many explosive stunts, a loud detonation went off too close to him, causing permanent partial hearing loss in his left ear. He kept it quiet at the time so production wouldn't be interrupted. But years later, it was revealed that the damage never fully healed, and it became part of the health issues that followed him into the 2000s. Still, that rough-edged, relatable energy he brought to John McClane changed everything. He didn't look like a superhero. He looked like a regular guy caught in an impossible situation, and people loved him for it. Just a year later, Bruce did something no one expected. He signed on to voice a talking baby in a movie called Look Who's Talking. It sounded like a joke, but the surprise wasn't just the idea. It was what he earned. For just 4 days of voice work, he took home $10 million. The reason? A smart deal that gave him a share of the profits. The movie itself was made for under $10 million, but ended up making almost $300 million worldwide. His voice, full of charm and sarcasm, became a hit with families everywhere. The movie turned into a franchise, and he got another $10 million for the sequel. Everyone started realizing he wasn't just lucky, he was smart, too. Then he tried something totally different. In September 1989, In Country came out. It was a slow, emotional story about a Vietnam vet living in a quiet town. Bruce grew a mustache and played the role with quiet pain. His own father had fought in the Korean War, and maybe that made the performance feel more real. Critics liked it. Roger Ebert gave it 3 stars, but audiences didn't show up. The movie only made a few $1 million. Still, it showed that Bruce wasn't afraid to take risks, even if it meant walking away from another hit. By 1990, he was back in full action mode. Die Hard to hit theaters on July 4th. This time, Bruce knew his worth. He got $7.5 million up front and a cut of the profits. The movie earned over $240 million worldwide, even more than the original. Behind the scenes, he clashed with the director over realism. He didn't want cartoonish stunts. He wanted the danger to feel real. That same mindset, caring about the little things, kept pushing his career forward. And by the time the third movie came around in 1995, his salary had risen to $15 million. But not everything he touched turned to gold. The sequel to Look Who's Talking, released in late 1990, flopped. It only made $47 million and got slammed by critics. Bruce had recorded all his lines in just 3 days, and he later admitted the script wasn't ready. He even sued the producer, claiming they owed him a $2 million cut from profits. But the case was thrown out. It was a reminder that fast money didn't always mean lasting success. Then came a turning point. In 1994, Pulp Fiction arrived. Quentin Tarantino cast Bruce as Butch, a boxer who refuses to throw a fight. The movie didn't just revive his career, it made people see him in a new light. Gritty, real, willing to take risks. He only made $800,000 for the role, way less than his usual fee. But he didn't care. It was about the story. The film went on to earn over $200 million and win an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. And although Bruce wasn't nominated, people finally started taking him seriously as more than just an action guy. The next year, he pushed even harder. In 12 Monkeys, released in late 1995, he played a broken man from a post-apocalyptic future. He lost 20 pounds for the role. He visited mental hospitals to prepare, and during filming, he fractured his shoulder doing a stunt. Still, he kept going. The movie made over $160 million and earned 2 Oscar nominations. Once again, no nomination for Bruce, but no one could deny how deep he went for the part. By 1997, he surprised everyone again with The Fifth Element. It was wild, futuristic, filled with color and chaos. Bruce played a cab driver who becomes Earth's last hope. The movie cost almost $90 million, a record then, and it made over $260 million. Bruce did his own stunts. He wore tight orange vests he hated, but somehow, it all worked. The movie became a cult classic. Then came 1998, when Bruce led the huge disaster movie, Armageddon. He played Harry Stamper, a tough oil driller sent to stop an asteroid from destroying Earth. The movie, released on July 1st, made more than $553 million worldwide, making it the top film of the year. But things behind the scenes were rough. Bruce fought with director Michael Bay over scenes that were cut, especially the emotional family moments. He also argued with producer Jerry Bruckheimer and later said the filming was miserable. Still, Bruce improvised one of the film's most emotional scenes, the tearful goodbye, which helped the movie connect with audiences. Despite 4 Oscar nominations for the film, Bruce got a Razzie for Worst Actor in 1999, a strange twist for such a huge hit. Back in 1987, Bruce's personal life made headlines. He met Demi Moore in July at a movie screening while she was still engaged to Emilio Estevez, but just 4 months later, on November 21, 1987, Bruce and Demi got married in Las Vegas. Demi later said the wedding wasn't even planned. They were on their way to gamble when Bruce suggested they just get married. A month later, they had a proper ceremony with about 100 guests, including Little Richard as the official. The sudden marriage cost under $1,000, but marked the beginning of a powerful Hollywood relationship. People gossiped that Demi was pregnant before the wedding, but their first daughter, Rumor, was born exactly 9 months later, in August 1988. Bruce and Demi became parents to 3 daughters. Rumor in 1988, Scout in 1991, and Tallulah in 1994. They tried to balance work and family by taking turns with movie roles. But fame brought stress. Demi earned a record $12.5 million for striptease in 1996. But rumors of affairs began to surround both of them. Bruce was linked to models and Demi to her In 1995, Bruce reportedly stormed off a film set after an argument, even though they stayed together publicly. The damage was already growing behind the scenes. In 1998, after 11 years of marriage, Bruce and Demi separated. Their divorce was finalized in October 2000. The split looked peaceful on the surface, but they fought behind closed doors over their $200 million fortune. Bruce paid Demi up to $90 million, one of the most expensive Hollywood divorces ever. They also had to work out custody of their daughters. Bruce told Rolling Stone they stayed friends for the kids, but sources said it wasn't easy. Demi kept the Idaho ranch where she raised the girls. At the time, Bruce was still riding the success of Armageddon, but the divorce showed how even the biggest stars had personal pain behind the fame. Surprisingly, the two stayed close even after the divorce. Demi was at Bruce's 2009 wedding to Emma Heming. And in 2019, when Bruce and Emma renewed their vows, Demi joined the family celebration. They even spent the 2020 lockdown together in Idaho with all the kids and shared happy photos. Demi later supported Bruce after his 2022 diagnosis of aphasia and the 2023 news of frontotemporal dementia. The blended family stayed strong, showing the world that love doesn't always end with marriage. One of the darkest moments in Bruce's past came in 1992, when a woman claimed he had fathered her child from a one-night stand in 1991. Took him to court and a DNA test was done. The test cost around $5,000 back then and proved Bruce wasn't the father. Still, the case hurt his public image. He was seen as a devoted dad, and this scandal didn't fit that image. Demi stood by him, but reports said it put a lot of pressure on their marriage. In 1999, Bruce starred in The Sixth Sense, a quiet thriller that took the world by surprise. He played a child psychologist named Malcolm Crowe and was paid $14 million. The story had a twist that no one saw coming. Crowe had been dead the whole time. The film made nearly $673 million worldwide and held the #1 spot for 5 weeks. It became the second biggest movie of 1999, just behind Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Bruce didn't get an Oscar nomination, but the role gave his career a major boost. He kept the twist secret from almost everyone and even improvised scenes to make his character feel more real. In 2000, Bruce teamed up again with director M. Night Shyamalan for Unbreakable. He played David Dunn, a man who survives a train crash and slowly realizes he might be a real-life superhero. The movie cost a shocking $75 million to make, much higher than expected, partly because Bruce earned around $20 million and co-star Samuel L. Jackson got $10 million. Even though it made $248 million, the big budget caused tension with Disney. Some reshoots pushed costs even higher. Still, the movie gained a loyal fan base and later became part of a trilogy. But back then, the expensive gamble almost ended Shyamalan's career. Even before all the movie fame, Bruce had tried his hand at music. In 1987, he released an album called The Return of Bruno. He played a character named Bruno Rattolini and sang covers of classic songs. One track, Respect Yourself, even hit number 5 on the Billboard charts. In the UK, Under the Boardwalk reached number 2. The album sold over 500,000 copies and earned gold status, but critics hated it. Rolling Stone called it tone-deaf, and people mocked it so much that Bruce stopped singing professionally by 1989. Despite that, he performed live at big events like Farm Aid, but the criticism left a mark on him emotionally. In 2001, Bruce was back in the news again, this time because of rumors during the filming of Bandits. He starred alongside Billy Bob Thornton and Cate Blanchett, and tabloids claimed Bruce and Cate were having an affair. The gossip only got worse when Ashton Kutcher, who was dating another actress on set, got suspicious. Demi Moore later wrote about all this in her 2019 memoir. Though Blanchett later called it all a lie, the drama almost ruined the movie's promotion. Bandits earned only $67 million, failing to cover its $75 million. $5 million.